You have been lied to about the daily latte. The financial industry tells you to clip coupons and stop buying coffee to get rich. It is a massive distraction. The daily latte isn't the problem. Cutting coffee is a chore of deprivation that yields pennies rather than fixing the structural holes in your cash flow. This is the ultimate trap of the broke mindset. You exhaust your willpower on tiny, meaningless sacrifices while ignoring the massive structural leaks hemorrhaging dollars from your accounts. The math of wealth building does not care about your caffeine habit. It cares about massive capital allocation. When you focus entirely on low-impact variable spending, you miss the actual mechanics of financial independence. The real drain on your net worth happens invisibly, automatically, and relentlessly on the first of every month. The middle class bleeds out through budget leaks they signed a contract to create, while the wealthy optimize the massive pillars of their financial lives. Enter the big three expenses: housing, transportation, and food. These three categories consume over 70% of the average income. They are the heavy artillery of your financial life. If you want to fix your monthly budget leaks, you must attack the largest numbers on your bank statement first. A 10% reduction in your rent or mortgage payment will mathematically obliterate a year of skipping your morning coffee. This is where the game is won or lost. You need a contrarian approach to budgeting. Instead of tracking every single dime spent on a pack of gum, you must focus on high-impact fixed costs. This method requires one hard decision that pays you back automatically every single month. You negotiate rent once. You trade in the expensive car once. You restructure your massive debts once. That single point of friction yields a permanent increase in your monthly cash flow without requiring daily willpower. Most people avoid this because it is terrifying. Changing your living situation or driving a cheaper car threatens your ego and your comfort. It is far easier to download a budgeting app and pretend that saving $4 a day makes you a master strategist. But that illusion of control keeps you trapped in the rat race. Your ego demands a luxury car, but your financial freedom demands aggressive optimization. You have to choose which one matters more. Every dollar trapped in a bloated fixed cost is a dollar that cannot work for you. This is the law of opportunity cost. When you lock yourself into a massive monthly payment, you are not just losing that money today. You are surrendering the future wealth that money could have generated. A $500 car payment is not just $500. It is the thousands of dollars in compound growth you just handed to a bank. The solution is fixed cost optimization. You must ruthlessly audit the top line of your expenses. Apply the 80/20ths rule to your entire financial life. 80% of your financial leaks come from 20% of your spending categories. You find the massive leaks, plug them with structural changes, and let the math work in your favor. When you optimize the big numbers, the small numbers stop mattering. You build a system that naturally retains capital. Once you execute this optimization, the math of your life fundamentally changes. The money you recover from a lowered rent payment or an eliminated car loan does not just sit there, it becomes the fuel for your wealth engine. You deploy those recovered funds into investments that generate their own yield. The compound interest begins to work for you instead of against you. Your net worth accelerates simply because you stopped the massive structural bleeding. Look closely at the transportation leak. Millions of people willingly chain themselves to a depreciating asset with a high interest rate. They walk into a dealership, focus entirely on the monthly payment, and ignore the total cost of the debt. They roll negative equity from an old car into a new loan. The APR eats their income from the inside out. This is the most common and destructive budget leak in the modern economy. It destroys your ability to build wealth. The wealth builder views a vehicle purely as a utility. It is a machine designed to move you from point A to point B safely. It is not a status symbol. When you detach your ego from your transportation, you instantly unlock massive monthly cash flow. You buy a reliable used vehicle in cash. You eliminate the monthly payment entirely. You drop your insurance premiums. You suddenly have hundreds of dollars a month flowing back into your control. Now you take that recovered car payment and aggressively deploy it. You do not absorb it back into your lifestyle. You use those funds to execute a debt snowball on your remaining liabilities. You attack credit card balances. You wipe out personal loans. You systematically destroy every high-interest obligation holding you back. The money that used to enrich an auto lender is now actively buying back your freedom. You have weaponized your own income. The momentum becomes unstoppable. As each debt falls, your available monthly cash flow expands further. The snowball grows larger and rolls faster. The interest that used to drain your accounts is now completely eliminated. You have fundamentally reversed the flow of capital. Instead of paying banks for the privilege of driving a status symbol, you are retaining your own wealth. The compounding growth engine is finally humming at full capacity. The housing trap is even more dangerous. Society pushes the narrative that you must buy the largest house you can possibly qualify for. Lenders use your gross income to approve a mortgage that will choke your net income for 3 decades. People become house poor, trapped under the weight of property taxes, maintenance, and utility bills. They have a beautiful roof over their heads, but absolutely zero liquidity in their bank accounts. They are one emergency away from ruin. You must apply the 80/20 rule to your shelter. Housing is a necessity, but excessive square footage is a luxury that actively drains your wealth. The wealthy understand that a primary residence is often a massive liability, not an asset. It consumes cash flow every single month. To fix this leak, you must detach your self-worth from your zip code. You must look at your housing costs purely as a mathematical equation to be optimized. Optimization here requires bold action. It might mean moving to a smaller apartment. It might mean renting out a spare bedroom to offset your mortgage. It might mean relocating to a more affordable neighborhood. You make one highly uncomfortable decision to slash your housing costs by 30%. That single move permanently alters your financial trajectory. You instantly create a massive buffer of monthly cash flow that protects you from economic shocks and funds your investment accounts. This is the exact dividing line between the middle class and the hyper-wealthy. The middle class scales their housing costs perfectly in sync with every raise they get. They inflate their lifestyle until every dollar is spoken for. The wealthy scale their investments while keeping their fixed housing costs artificially low. They build an impenetrable fortress of capital because they refuse to let their ego dictate their living arrangements. They prioritize freedom over excessive square footage. The third massive leak is the silent bleed of disorganized food costs. This is not about the daily latte. This is about the hundreds of dollars wasted on delivery apps, impulse grocery trips, and dining out because you failed to plan. When you do not systemize your nutrition, you pay a massive premium for convenience. The delivery fees, the service charges, the marked up menu prices all quietly siphon away the capital you need to build your empire. Food is a predictable necessity, which means it can be entirely systemized. The wealth builder treats their grocery budget with the same precision as a corporate supply chain. You calculate exactly what you need to operate at peak performance. You buy in bulk. You eliminate the friction of daily food decisions. By turning your nutrition into a streamlined, predictable system, you instantly plug a massive leak that drains most households of thousands of dollars a year. You must implement this high-impact fixed-cost strategy immediately. Sit down with your bank statements and isolate the big 3 expenses. Ignore everything else for now. Do not look at your streaming subscriptions. Do not look at your coffee habit. Look only at your housing, your transportation, and your food systems. Identify the inefficiency in those massive numbers. Formulate a plan to aggressively reduce them. One major structural adjustment will yield more capital than a lifetime of penny pinching. The resistance you feel right now is normal. Your brain is hardwired to seek comfort and avoid disruption. Slashing your rent or trading in your car feels like moving backward. It feels like losing. But you must reframe this entirely. You are not retreating. You are tactically repositioning your capital for a massive offensive strike. You are trading the illusion of wealth today for the undeniable reality of financial power tomorrow. You must conquer your own ego. When you finally push through that barrier and optimize the big three, the results are explosive. You are no longer scraping by to save $50 a month. You are suddenly sitting on $800 of unallocated capital every 30 days. You direct that capital into the market. You buy assets that appreciate. The compound interest takes hold of those massive monthly deposits, and your trajectory toward financial independence accelerates at a terrifying speed. Every month you delay this optimization is a month of lost compounding. Time is the one variable in the wealth equation you can never get back. The opportunity cost of waiting for the perfect moment is catastrophic. If you keep bleeding capital through bloated fixed costs, you are forcing your future self to work years longer than necessary. You are trading the best years of your life to subsidize a landlord or an auto manufacturer. The game of wealth is won on defense before it is ever played on offense. You cannot out-earn a fundamentally broken financial structure. Even high-income earners end up broke if their fixed costs consume their entire paycheck. True financial power comes from the spread between what you earn and what you are structurally obligated to spend. By optimizing the massive leaks, you widen that spread. You build a machine that naturally catches and multiplies capital. This is how you build true liquidity. It is not about hoarding cash under a mattress. It is about creating a structural surplus in your life that gives you ultimate optionality. When your fixed costs are ruthlessly optimized, you no longer fear a job loss. You no longer fear an economic downturn. You have the cash flow to absorb the shock and the capital to buy assets when everyone else is panicking. You become financially bulletproof. Stop playing small. Stop obsessing over the variable spending that distracts you from the real game. Attack your housing, transportation, and food costs with absolute precision. Execute the fixed cost optimization. Reclaim your capital from the institutions that are quietly bleeding you dry. Redirect every recovered dollar into a system of aggressive growth. The path to financial independence is not built on deprivation. It is built on the cold, hard mathematics of structural discipline.